Today, we're just going to jump right into our main topics of the day. And if anybody wants, where's my section here? If anybody wants to get a main topic on the show, all you have to do is email me at GottaLoveThemMovies@gmail.com. We'll make your thoughts, your questions, anything that you want to talk about, a main topic here on the show. And now, with that down and out of the way, it's time to open up the Gotta Love Them Movies mailbag. All right, guys, let's open up that Gotta Love Them Movies mailbag. Like I said, these are real emails sent from you guys all around the world. We're just going to open them up one at a time. And our first email comes to us from Andy right here in New York City. And Andy says, so, Ray Fisher is still fighting with Warner Brothers. Now it looks like Warner Brothers is trying to sweep it all under the rug. What are your thoughts? All right, so this is a little bit of it's a little cryptic email here. For anyone who's not familiar with what Andy is talking about, Ray Fisher is one of the actors from the movie Justice League. He plays the character Cyborg in the movie Justice League. And very recently, the president of DC Films, Walter Hamada, had a private meeting with Ray Fisher to reprise his role of Cyborg in the upcoming Flash movie. Well, in that meeting, Ray Fisher brought up the fact that, on set of Justice League, Joss Whedon and executive producer John Berg and Jeff Johns and John Berg enabled director Joss Whedon, to be a little abusive to some of the actors and the crew members on set. And, of course, that is not acceptable in the slightest. So this was the first time that Ray Fisher was making this public knowledge to Walter Hamada. Walter Hamada therein says, okay, great, awesome, we're going to conduct an investigation, and we'll get to the bottom of this, and hopefully it will get solved. Well, turns out that the investigation that Walter Hamada decided to put into action wasn't much of an investigation after all. So Ray Fisher took to social media and he kind of called out not just Walter Hamada, but Warner Brothers Pictures in general. The investigation was supposed to happen through Warner Media, which is the giant, the larger parent company. But the investigation that was being conducted, all of those people reported directly to this guy, Walter Hamada, which means that they're trying to take things and sweep them under the rug a little bit. So once again, Ray Fisher took to social media and this is what he said. Let me bring this web browser up. Okay, so this particular article is coming from Superhero Hype. I don't necessarily like some of these third-party websites. 'Cause, sometimes the information gets a little muddled, but, they took direct screenshots from Ray Fisher's Twitter. And here on Ray Fisher's Twitter, he says, to date, the quote-unquote independent firm hired by Warner Brothers Pictures has conveniently avoided contacting key witnesses who gave damning statements to Warner Brothers HR. They've also started interviews with and have since ghosted witnesses that have implicated former and current top-level executives. Others, including an implicated individual that called me to apologize, have already been interviewed. We will not let any investigator cherry-pick interviews that best suit Warner Brothers' false narratives and scapegoating efforts. All the stories will be heard. Accountability is greater than entertainment. So these were a couple of the tweets that came from Ray Fisher's Twitter account. He's been very vocal on Twitter. He's been very vocal on Instagram. Many articles have been written about this. It's kind of a complicated situation. Ray Fisher is most likely going to be reprising his role in as Cyborg in the upcoming Flash movie, but this just compounds the issue. He wants to hold Warner Brothers accountable. He doesn't want them just to keep sweeping things under the rug, which it seems that's exactly what Warner Brothers wants to do. They want to, silence this issue as fast and as quickly as possible and, kind of let it go. They want everybody to forget about this. Um, Carter, is this the first time that you're hearing of this? And if so, like, what are your knee jerk reactions to these kinds of situations?
Yeah, it's the first time I'm hearing about these tweets. I actually just read yesterday, I think it was Jason Momoa's reaction to Ray Fisher
Yeah.
and what Warner Brothers are
Hmm.
doing, in which he basically stood up for Ray Fisher, saying, that, Warner Brothers better get their act together or his contract.
Yeah.
He didn't go into
Well, I
specifics,
think
but,
basically he
he's,
posted a photo of Ray Fisher with the hashtag "I stand
yeah.
with Ray Fisher."
Hmm. Yeah, no, I really think that Hollywood in general and a lot of these studios really just need to take things more seriously. Um, and just a lot of things. I don't like internal investigations to begin with. Like, I really think that people need to take any allegation in any, in any form, as we're looking at, I'm not going to get too political right now, but in anything that we're looking at in the United States right now, it just really feels like people need to stop doing these internal investigations that are very one-sided. And I think that a lot of audience members and a lot of consumers are also supporting Ray Fisher right now, and I think the studio knows that, and they're trying to do their best to cover up as many things as possible. And really, I just think they need to be truthful, and that's all people are asking for. People are just asking for truth and
Yeah.
accountability, and that's the scariest thing to executives that know what they've done in the past might come out, so that's why they don't do it. But ultimately, we're trying to pave a path for the future of business, and what that path is truth and
Now, Ray
accountability.
Fisher is primarily taking to Twitter and Instagram to inform his fans about what's going on. Do you think this is the best strategy, or do you think that there's a better way to go about this type of reform within Hollywood, within the Hollywood system? Is there a better way to go about it?
Yeah,
Or, like, is this it?
I think it's the best public way to
Yeah,
go about it. I hope that Ray Fisher is, building a case himself, talking to his lawyer and everything else. I know that I think we had discussed that he says that he has all this other information that he hasn't
sure.
disclosed yet. But ultimately, even that, he really needs to have those facts. And I don't know if he has the capability or even if he really thinks that it's worth his time to, conduct a private investigation with a PI himself. But I think that that's the best way, that if this does end up going to court over his contract and over, his career possibly being blacklisted, I think that there's a lot of work that he needs to do in private. But in the public forum, I think that his post on Twitter is the best that he can
Well,
do at
to your
this point.
point, I mean, there's a lot that, yes, he is doing in the public eye, but I think there is even more that he's doing behind closed doors. He is meeting with his lawyer. He has his own production staff and team that he's working with in terms of like his agent, his PR person, everyone who's representing him at his talent agency, all this stuff, all combined together. I think they all know exactly what's going on, and because I hate to put this all on Ray Fisher's shoulders, but it seems to be that's where it is right now. Is that he's the one pioneering this particular cause and saying we need more attention to be brought to this thing. Um, Anytime that you're dealing with a company or a movie or something that involves hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, it gets really hard to change people's minds, and also get people to take you seriously. Because at the end of the day, Ray Fisher's just an actor. What he has to his credit
Yeah.
is he is in the public eye. He's way more in the public eye than Walter Hamada is, but by calling him out, bringing him, out to maybe justice, I guess, a little bit, which is actually very apropos, considering his position
Yeah.
in the movie. Um, I don't know, like these types of issues are so complicated. They're so complex. Is there anything that we're leaving out?
No, I think it's just important to note that even, Ray Fisher is, an actor, and maybe he doesn't want this investigation to be his whole life, but this happens to people in the public eye
Yeah,
sometimes,
it's
even when
true.
it comes to, I think if you saw, Jon Stewart was a main witness for talking about getting people from
Yeah.
9/11
It was
to,
like 2 days ago, I
and
think, that news
Seth.
dropped.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he did it a couple years ago,
Yeah.
but he had to do it again, when all this new stuff came out. And Seth Rogen even went to the federal judicial court to talk about some issues with people with oh wow, I'm forgetting the pre-existing
Right.
conditions,
Yes, yes, yes. Oh,
and what ends up happening is and I think that, to be honest, Jim Gaffigan, if Trump ever has to be in court again, Jim Gaffigan, after everything that he said on Twitter, might become a witness, and that's just what happens when you're in the public eye and you gain so
yeah.
much notoriety. And I do kind of feel bad for Ray Fisher. Because one, he had to experience that abuse on set, and two, now he's kind of become the face of it,
He's the
and
one that gets put in the
he
situation.
might.
He, through no fault of his own,
Yeah, it's
he
not
has to
him.
put up with,
Yeah.
bad attitudes. And it's one thing to say, "Meh, it's a bad attitude." It's another thing to say, no, 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 there was absolute abuse. And that was the word that he kept using, was abuse. And, everything else that comes along with that and all the other things that he had to experience and endure. You're right. Like, it's unfair that he's an actor. He got hired to play a character. And if conditions on set are unwholesome, and it's not even like he was hired by Joss Whedon. He was hired by Zack Snyder, and then because of all the stuff that went down with Zack Snyder and his family, he had to leave. Joss Whedon came in to to take over. And for the substitute teacher to take over your class and rewrite your curriculum, okay, I get it, it's still history, but like it's a different form. It's like, we're, instead of studying
Yeah.
Avengers history, maybe we're studying Wonder Woman history. I don't know, whatever. Like, it's still history, but like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean, you're going in a very different direction. And to for a substitute teacher in that regards to just change everything up, and have a bad attitude about it, it's a very compromising position. Anyway, guys, question is to you: is this the first that you're hearing of Ray Fisher and having to make all of this stuff public? Is he going too far off the rails, or is he maybe not doing enough? Is he doing just enough? What are your thoughts and feelings with the Ray Fisher situation? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.